Hello, everybody. If you're still joining us and give us a couple of minutes to join us on this exciting topic of hiring managers, are they the real problem? Excited for this one. I've been talking about hiring managers forever and the problems that they create. And I have a great guest joining me today on Higher Ground Live, brought to you by RoundOne AI. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to your comments as we go through and really trying to, respond to those great comments that you put in the chat. And we're going to do our best to respond to those. And I'm just thrilled. So I'm going to give it one more minute here and then we will get started and bring the guest up onto the stage. Excited. Excited.
Hi.
Here she is.
That was quick.
I know. Right? It's like all of a sudden you're on camera.
Hi. Happy to be here.
All right. For everybody who is joining us, we still have another minute. I'm going to give it one more minute and then we'll roll into this. I was just saying that this is a great topic for right now. And I think in the world of AI, this is a topic we kind of gotten lost talking about. And so let's get it started. So like I was saying, the AI will fix hiring and everything's going to be perfect in the AI world. We wanted to talk about something a little different today. And that is the thing that I think we're not talking about is that hiring managers are still a lot of the problem, and figuring out solutions to how to make that work in your organization is a big deal. And they're the ones that hold up things a lot of the times, and they're making job descriptions that are crazy. They're doing all these crazy things. And I think we need to acknowledge that and actually provide solutions. So I am Desiree Goldey. I'm the founder of Do Better Consulting. I'm also an advisor to RoundOne AI, who's putting on this show today. And I'm joined by Lori Golden. If you don't know her, I can't say enough about how much I love her and appreciate her and respect her. She's got 25 years in or more. Well, I'm just going to say 25. More in this space. She's been doing it forever. And you can see from her background, she's the founder of the Rebel HR. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. And she's been on all sides. So I think this is going to be interesting. She's been on the corporate side, the agency side. She's a founder. I mean, there's just so many places she's going to be able to add value to this conversation. And I am going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I'm going to kind of give the hiring manager point of view and push Lori a little bit. So welcome, Lori.
Thank you so much, Desiree. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm excited to dive in to this very important topic. And let's see what comes up, what bubbles up. Yeah.
So I'm interested a little bit, tell me if I missed something from your intro and kind of your perspective on the topic in general.
I'm a founder of Rebel HR. I'm founder of HighFinder. It's a community platform. I'm founder of Hire You. It's a soft skills education program for adapting in the AI realm, and also doing several other things all the time. So yes, and I do have lots of perspectives and lots of opinions, and but I do come from that 360 perspective. I've been the hiring manager. I've founded my own companies. I've been the recruiter dealing with difficult hiring managers. And of course, I've been on the agency side as well, where I was selling this to hiring managers. So wow. I do think I have a unique and kind of broad perspective. And also just how I'm built is I try and look at everything from all perspectives before trying to offer solutions or major takes around what's wrong.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I bring.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, let's start right off the bat and get into it. When we say let's name the villain, right?
Yeah.
When we say a hiring manager is bad or is the problem, in your perspective, what does that mean to you? What's happening?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of that kind of statement comes from job seekers. So recruiters are the most visible people in the whole equation, right? So
Right.
we're the ones that are on the front lines, public facing, getting attacked. We're the scapegoats of all of it. Anything wrong that happens anywhere in the hiring process is ultimately blamed on the easiest person to blame. So we're the scapegoats perpetually. Where the whole, but that's the hiring manager is actually the problem is typically us helping to educate job seekers out here publicly to understand that the thing, that one thing you're railing against, that's a hiring manager choice. That's not a recruiter choice. And yes, but, and also, right? Yes, and we have a role in pushing back against things that don't make sense, aren't super effective, right? We are the subject matter experts in hiring. Hiring managers, it's just a necessary evil thing they have to do to
Right.
accomplish their real goals, right?
Right.
Now, I mean, and there's more I could say about that and like how you incentivize hiring managers and
We'll
how
get
much you
into.
hold them accountable for hiring matters. But I think that's really where that statement, I see it the most. It's like
Yeah.
us out here saying, yeah, we know we're the scapegoats. And also, there are some things that we can't change.
Right.
And we're also, people walking on eggshells trying to avoid the next layoff.
Yeah.
Also.
All the time, which is just crazy in the world we live in today. And
Right.
for the audience, oh my gosh, I think it's like a tightrope right now.
Yeah, it
Right?
is. It
Because
really
we're the
is.
first to go. Right?
Every
Like,
time.
every
And
time. Let's get rid of the people that hire the
right.
people.
And
Right?
people like us, when we speak up and push back and say, hey,
Right.
time out. What are you doing? We're the first to go.
Right. Right. Absolutely, we are. Been there, done that.
Mhm.
I'm going to read you something. I was given so many comments when people found out we were doing this show and people sending me data and all this stuff to back up these claims. But I got one that was really interesting, and it's from the Rec Ops Collective. And if you don't know them, please go look them up. Jeremy Lyons, he's amazing.
Yep.
But this was from one of their outputs, like I think it's called the Recruiting Discord, but it's hiring managers ghost candidates. 78% of job site seekers cite this as a top frustration. They delay in decisions in pursuit of a perfect candidate that doesn't exist, costing organizations top talent to faster moving competitors. They write job descriptions that reflect fantasy rather than actual role requirements. They conduct inconsistent, unstructured interviews without rubrics. They make final decisions based on intuition. Research has found that over 75% of decisions in corporate recruiting processes are made by humans relying on their own intuition rather than data. And when a hire fails, it's the recruiter who's blamed. Isn't that exactly what we're talking about today? It's all of those things like in a cute little paragraph.
Yeah, totally. And there's like nuance to every single sentence in
Right.
there. I'm like, there are reasons, but there are actual challenges that come up in all of that, right?
Yeah. Why do we let them get away with it? Tell me that. Because recruiters would get fired for the same behavior.
I mean,
So
ultimately, it's their team, right? They own that team. They are held accountable and responsible for everything anyone on their team does. So
yeah.
clearly they also, like they have to make a good decision. And to be honest, in this market, they also are people walking on eggshells trying to avoid the next layoff. I have to keep saying that because I think that this idea that we all have the free privilege to push back on everything and get ushered out the door, like that doesn't help, right? If
Right.
we are to make change, right? And looking back at the last 20 years in recruiting, we moved a lot of needles in a lot of areas. I mean, clearly that chalkboard is being wiped clean and it's like it never happened, but like we had to be in it to change
Yeah.
it, right? We can't, there's a strategic way to be and make change, but it isn't fast and it isn't, no, I'm not doing that and you're wrong and like you
Yeah.
can't get away with that. That energy doesn't actually work. if you want to be taken seriously and be effective in making change.
Well,
So
let's get into that though. Let's talk about, like, because I want to play devil's, are
sure.
are recruiters setting hiring managers up to be this way? And what is the solution to be more strategic?
Yeah.
In that getting them to do kind of what you want, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, the people, the recruiters who already position themselves as strategic collaborative partners are going to have a much easier time at this. So I don't typically walk into any environment and act like a box checking admin, like, paper pusher to anyone.
Yeah.
So I don't get treated that way either, right? I also have spent a lot of my career in earlier stage startups where every single person is playing a very strategic role, wearing multiple hats, and like part of building the organization, right? It's different than coming to an already existing machine where any cog can replace any cog. Like it's a different hiring style. So I think recruiters need to establish themselves as strategic collaborative partners. One way to do that is by showing up to every kickoff call with a hiring manager with market research and data and understanding what things look like out here. If you show up as the expert, they will receive you as such. If you show up like, what do you need? What do you want? What can I do for you? How can I, what is the unicorn? Tell me, like, I'll find them. They're perfect. I know we'll find perfect. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
That's not a real partner. That's a yes person who's, just there to
Yes, you do that, right? And I think this does start right at intake, right? We talk about this all the time. I've seen some horrible intakes happen. And where we are saying yes to everything, we are just like moving forward with unrealistic expectations, timing, all of those things, and saying we can find the perfect thing, which, by the way, perfect doesn't exist. And so we are already setting ourselves up for failure in the hiring manager's eyes, because we've now said, like, oh yeah, we're going to do all these things and we're going to be perfect at it. And then when we don't show up a little short, they're like, oh, talent isn't helping me. The recruiting team sucks, and blah, blah, blah.
And then they're calling agencies and paying fees and making you look like a failure. Whereas you could have questioned every last one of those requirements in the kickoff, and you should. And like, even if they aren't unrealistic, pressure tested anyway. What do you think this requirement achieves? Like, that's an open-ended question that hiring manager, put them on the spot a little.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, make them validate what they're saying, because half the time they shoved it in Claude spit that out. And so they're like, here, or that's the way we did it last time. Or I'm trying to get someone just like Jimmy.
Bob.
Right? Like, if I can just find another Jimmy. Do you know how many times I've walked into a hiring manager roll call, like a kickoff roll call from agency and in-house? And it's like, just find me another Jimmy. I just need another Jimmy.
Right.
Like, what does that mean exactly? Like, what is it that are the traits of Jimmy that you're trying to replicate? And like, really make them think about that, because sometimes it's not, it's not like this is going to make sense. This is going to be the most strategic way to go find what you need. It's just pattern recognition. It's like it's laziness. And it's our job to push back on them. Right?
I agree with you. I've had, there are so many times where they can't even define what I'm supposed to be looking for. Right. So,
but they'll get really mad when you don't find it.
When I don't find the miracle and solution to all your problems, but they haven't given me even what the problem is, or what that person will solve, or any of the. And I've always said, like, so you have an intake meeting, hiring managers are hard to get, but if they don't have all the answers, I've even said to hiring, I'm going to come back to you once you've thought about these things. We're not going to start really working on the role until you can define these things.
Exactly.
Because we're just going to spin our wheels, right?
100%. And who has extra time and bandwidth to waste on any of this? Like, that's the other thing people need to be like, abundantly clear on, is that everyone is working with less right now. I mean, everyone, everywhere. I talk to Desi, you and I both talk to companies all the time.
all the time.
Like everybody is operating with less team than they're used to. Everybody's stretched thin and has more on their plate. So let's get to the heart of the matter. Let's not waste a lot of time interviewing people that we can't move forward and do more brand damage out in the market. Like let's get aligned. I think we need to talk more about alignment. And I think that it has to be two-sided alignment. The idea is there's a lid for every pot out here. There are plenty of jobs for all the people. Like what we're not good at is using technology to like find better alignment earlier than we're doing. We're accommodating volume at this point. And that also doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think the job market is so horrible right now, right? You're getting this influx of applications. I think you wrote a post yesterday. You got like 713 applications.
Hi, 1,900 this morning because I didn't shut it off yesterday. So in 24 hours, I got almost 2,000. Really, like everybody, I need everyone to like wrap their minds around the numbers.
Yeah.
In 24 hours of a role being posted, I got almost 2,000 applicants.
That's insane. It's insane.
And the comp wasn't super high. And it's not remote.
Oh, geez. I mean, right now is a really, really tough. And I actually had a hiring manager, actually a founder, say to me, well, if the job market's so bad, you should be able to find, Susie tomorrow, right? That's not really the case, right? It's because the job market is so horrible, you're getting so many unqualified people on top of you have to dig through all of that to get to the real people that actually fit the role and who is time for 2,000. And if the intake isn't right, you don't even know who you're looking for out of 2,000 people. And that's pretty crazy.
But also job seekers are, they're indexing based on fear for a numbers game, right? Like, let me just apply for everything. Right. As opposed to being like really clear and targeted on what I want and not showing up to win every interview, but seeking real alignment, right? Like it is a mindset shift. And I totally understand. And I get where it's coming from. It's a valid fear, and seeing people are like, I've been out for over a year. I'm losing my this, I'm losing my that. Like, I get it.
Yeah, it's really, difficult. Let's go to another topic because this is one of my hot points. I have a real issue with hiring managers and interviewing. And I've seen some of the worst stories happen because a hiring manager doesn't know how to interview. Do you think they should all be trained on how to interview? What's your kind of take on hiring managers and interviewing?
Yes. that's my first thought.
Yes, and that's it.
Yeah. No. Well, so everywhere I've ever been and where I was running the talent function, I incorporated interview training. So it's not the senior leaders who have this issue because they've been doing this for several years, and you learn over time you make mistakes. Let's get real. The best way to learn anything in life is by making a mistake. You learn a lot from that mistake every time. So it's the newer managers. And I told you already that most of my, in-house experience was in earlier stage companies. So the way things work in an earlier stage company is you have a lot of first-time managers, right? Just getting promoted, or even not managers, but like senior people in the interview process who aren't the hiring leader, but they're still involved. Think an engineering loop. An engineering loop always has a senior engineer doing a lot of the vetting and the code challenges and all those things. So it's really important to consistently, and bandwidth also, as you scale a company, like everybody becomes more and more stretched and the interviewing volume increases simultaneously. So it's like you have to constantly be bringing new interviewers in. So one of the very first things in most of the places I ever owned the function from inside, I set up a formal, not formal, but an interview training program, rooted in all the what you can't do, can't say, can't ask, obviously, like the compliance stuff, but then also the more strategic minded things. Like you can't, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, and probably every recruiter under the sun's pet peeve, but like you find this awesome passive candidate and you put them in front of the hiring manager, and the hiring manager is like, so why do you want to work for us? Yeah. And it's like, and literally in their mind, they're like, I was coaxed to be here. Right. I was persuaded to come just listen, I was only asked to have an exploratory conversation. And the first thing you are asking me is why I want to work here. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, you're supposed to be telling me that why I want to work here. Right. Like, sell me. And that, again, some of that happens from bad communication. Like the recruiter doesn't give a hiring leader the heads up on where this person came from and what the scenario is. So obviously, like, this can be resolved with a quick Slack, like, hey, right, this person isn't sold. I talked them into an exploratory conversation. Put your biz dev hat on and get to work, because that's, what we need them to do at that stage. But some are so set in their ways that they ignore the guidance and the nuance that we try and give them to be able to close people. It's like, so you can lead a horse to water. Can't shove their head in it.
I always say this too, like most first-time managers were really high performers as what they did before.
Exactly.
So they come in, right, and they have this total attitude, like they know everything, right? And they've done this before, they know how to do this, and so they are less likely sometimes to take anything you have to say. But I think this also goes back to setting yourself up as the subject matter expert on all things recruiting, and then going into that conversation and saying, listen, this is how we do it here. This is what we talk about. This is how you can be strategic to figure out what if this person fits your team, rather than asking, tell me about yourself. And that's the only real question. Or why do you want to work here? Right. It's like, well, I need a paycheck. I don't know. Like, that's I want to work here. So those aren't viable questions. But most middle managers have not been really trained on any of on these things.
100%.
Recruiters forget that sometimes. We expect them to go in and rock it. Right. And on their defense, they're like, hey, the recruiter sent me this good resume. I'm going to interview them, and they're just going to go for it. And it's again, alignment and communication here are like so essential. We're probably going to keep saying those words, but alignment and communication are going to be the way you solve some of this. Right. And I think we're not doing that quite yet really effectively all the time. And listen, there's those difficult hiring managers where it doesn't matter what you say. And I had those in the past, but most people are receptive to listening to you if you set yourself up as the expert. Right?
And there's a definite way to deal with the ones who don't listen. You do it the way they say to do it, and you show them that it doesn't work. Like I don't know. I've spent plenty of years of my career, like placating someone's requests and then just demonstrating why they're not going to get what they think they are, or they're not going to accomplish their end goal by doing it that way. And if they don't believe me when I tell them, then I simply just show them.
Right. And
here you go.
Like, I think we always I bring every conversation back to this, but the data tells the story. And so, we can definitely get our message across by things failing as well as things succeeding, and proving those to hiring managers and helping them understand they're not going to reach their goal if they don't change something, is how 100%. You do those check-ins. You don't go to the check and be like, hey, Bob, we're just not making any progress. No, you come with the receipts.
And the why. That's right.
And the why it's not happening.
Especially around comp and level.
Yes.
Those are the ones that we're constantly like, I'd rather fight it on the front end because I hate wasting time just to prove my point.
Yeah.
And of course, I understand with some people, you have to do that. Ego gets in the way a lot. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the worst thing I can hear from a hiring manager is, I'll know it when I see it or hear it. What does that
I
mean?
get that though. So here's where I'm going to play the devil's advocate
Oh,
on
here
the
we go.
manager's side. Okay, again, this also is very specific to being in an earlier stage company or a
Yeah.
company, any company. So even large, bigger corporate, when you have like a new division, it's like new. You've never
Right.
hired for these roles before. You don't have a clear target profile and like so I mean, like the reality is the more you hire a particular role
Yeah.
over and over time, you get better and better at it, at
Right.
what it's at identifying what are those, what
Right.
are those requirements and traits that make sense. But with a new role, so when they say I'll know it when I see it, I only forgive them if it's not something we've hired together before.
Right.
Like
No, I
this is a
get that.
new thing, it's a new function, I'm not entirely sure. So in that case, when they say I know it when I'll see it, I may bring, and again, this is recruiters can manage all these things. It's not necessarily fun or easy always, but like it can be done. So
Right.
I'll know it when I see it, then I tell them, well, I'm not going to do gangbusters full on poaching until I'm clearer on what that looks like. So let's calibrate. So we'll spend the next week. I'll bring you a more junior, a more mid, a more senior at a couple, maybe one from corp, one from agency. So like it's, in many,
Yeah.
many functions, there's the in-house version and the consulting version as a service. Again, when we're hiring something new, we're not sure
Yeah.
where the right person is going to come from. So I may bring a couple different types of candidates for the purpose of calibration first. So
Right.
never ever go full steam ahead on I'll know it when I see it, because it's not fair to all the people you reach out to.
True.
And it's not fair to you, your time, the hiring manager's bandwidth either. Although when that is the case, be transparent with the candidate. So I'm transparent to a fault. And I mean that when I say to a fault. I'm filterless. I tell people everything. I'm going to share the good, the bad, and the ugly as I've seen it. Why? So that you don't join something like this is an important decision, right? So like alignment should be the goal. So I don't hold back. I tell everybody what it is and what they can expect. And I tell them look, the hiring manager isn't really clear what they're looking for. They think it's this, it might be that. We're doing some exploratory conversations. And like, if people are aware of that, they're less likely to be, offended and bothered and then berate us online after. So it's like just transparency solves most things.
Yeah.
And
Great.
most of the time you got to push back on I'll know it when I see it, especially if they've hired for it before.
Yeah. So I have to ask, I am the hiring manager. I want to fire my recruiter, which I've seen happen numerous times in organizations. I'm like, they're
Mm-hmm.
just not getting it, right? Should a
Mm-hmm.
recruiter be able to fire their hiring manager? I mean, internally, not really, but you know what I mean? Say, like, I don't want to work these recs. Is that an answer to a problem?
I think that if you've tried everything and you have valid reasons and there's a lack of cooperation or willingness to even consider the alternative perspectives, and you've really tried it all, you've brought data, you've brought reports, you've brought research, all the things, then I think you then go to your leadership and like say, look, there's a problem. I've done, I've given it a good college try to like resolve it. Here are the gaps. I don't really know how else to handle it. I would probably, in my case, I don't have that happen a lot because again, I very much take on I'm an expert and you're not going to push me around in the scenario. So like, I'll tell people too, we've got to come to some kind of an understanding and alignment. Otherwise I can't keep working on these because you're just setting me up to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a question in the chat I'm going to ask. It says, hi, I'm happy to attend this session. I have one question to ask you. Do companies follow fair and transparent processes? If yes, why many candidates are complaining about the recruitment process in the job market? The real problem is the companies and organizations and these policies are paper written and not implemented at all. So I won't only say hiring managers are the problem, are the company leaders who have failed to implement recruiting processes and policies if we need to have a fair take on things. I mean, I think that a company-wide policy and what I call the talent philosophy works, right? And that the process is structured, and that their scorecards and all of those things can be in place, and a hiring manager could still go rogue, right? Like it's great to say we have all these things, but a hiring manager sometimes needs to be reined in to keep us on track of those things.
And also define fair. What does that
Right.
mean? What do you mean by fair?
Right.
So I think fair is honest, transparent, communicative, like responsive. I think that's, here's the thing. I guess what's happening is that people are just waking up to the reality that these things have always been assumed, that hiring is fair. I don't know that it's ever been fair. It's always kind of guided by some intuition, risk analysis, assumptions. We're making a lot of assumptions. Like hiring's never been a perfect science or anywhere close. No. Earlier in the conversation, you said something about like, oh, you read the Rec Ops tape. And it's like, so when I said there's nuance on all those pieces, like, what do you mean hiring on data and objectivity? What data?
Right. True.
Like what data? Right? We're comparing human beings. How do you what objective comparison do people think is happening? Now, people don't like the actually potentially objective pieces, like we're going to give all candidates a unique assignment. So people hate doing assignments, but like that's one way to compare you all on something equal. That's equity. An assignment creates equity across the candidate slate.
I love it.
But otherwise, I'm comparing what you did at this company, what you did at that company, what you did at that company, and what you did at that company. And a lot of that is out of your control.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Like what you're given, how much ownership you have. One of the most common reasons people get rejected is because they didn't own the things. They did a piece of a thing, but they didn't have ownership. I'm constantly hearing hiring managers push back because, again, when you're lean and your bandwidth is limited, you need people who are owners of things and aren't coming to you every 5 minutes for clarity and guidance. Right. So I get that. But also, how much ownership they've had isn't necessarily grounded in what they're capable of, but just the structure and the culture of the org they came from. So how do you make that an objective assessment?
It's very difficult, right?
Vibes, assumptions, risk analysis, period. So people are like, well, people don't like the things that we call red flags. Now, are they actually red flags? Maybe, maybe not, but we have to make assumptions where we don't get from 1,000 to 20.
Right.
How do you, without making a whole lot of assumptions? So in your case, that thing may not be a red flag, but we've seen that thing be a red flag in many other people. Right. That is hiring bias, but it's not necessarily unfair hiring bias. We all are operating from biases. And again, not all of them are the kind that need to be rooted out. Unfair hiring bias needs to be rooted out. Correct. When you're talking about identity and you're tethering to things that don't make a difference in someone's ability to be successful. But totally when you're talking about signals, like somebody showing up late to an interview, that's a signal.
Right.
And they say how you do one thing is how you do everything. And maybe not, but again, this is where we're making some very high level, very minimal information assumptions in the process. And you can't find a single hiring process on planet Earth where there isn't intuition, assumptions, and
of course, we're people.
It doesn't exist.
Right. We're people, right? You can't take the human out of it, right?
That's right.
I want to switch the topic to AI, but I'm going to bring someone else into the conversation.
Hello.
Mayur Macwan. He is the founder and CEO of RoundOne AI. Glad to see you, sir.
I'm glad to be here. I honestly was just happy to listening to both of you.
We could do this for hours.
Yeah, it was such a real good points. And I'm also seeing that in comments, people are really happy that you're touching upon some of these things, which seem like quite basic, but it it's apparently not, right?
Right. No, it's
Yeah,
not. It's very nuanced.
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I brought you into the conversation because I wanted to get into the AI piece of this, but I do want to give you your story about why you even started Round One AI,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
know it ties back to being a hiring manager.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a funny little fact that I've never been a recruiter, but I've mostly been hiring manager, and this was my pain as a hiring manager. Um, and I think I was a good hiring manager. I was because I was trained by some great mentors. So, and I worked with many agencies when I was a hiring manager, and some of them were really good, but some of them sent candidates. And I don't think it's their fault, but they sent candidates that looked amazing on the CV, and when I go into an interview call, it's all surprise. Have you all been there? And
Yeah.
just out of courtesy, and you have like two people on a panel, so you still want to give them benefit of doubt and spend maybe half an hour to talk to them and find some signals, but it doesn't happen. And that started happening more and more frequently after Chat GPT came around, right? And this is like, okay,
Yeah.
if as a hiring manager, because I am an expert, I am the subject matter expert on this particular role, if I cannot make out of the CV itself that who is good and who is not good, right? How can I expect a recruiter who basically hires for like 50 different roles, not if not 50, 10, right? How can I expect a
Right.
recruiter who has a pile of 100 plus CVs just read a CV and make a shortlist? Or even when they call them, how do they, what questions do they ask? So that was my problem when we were ready to pay like 20, 30%, hiring fees to the agencies. We still couldn't get best candidates. That's the main point. I
Yeah.
thought of starting something that could solve this problem, and that's how Round One came into existence. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great product, and I think it's with some of the features that you have on it, it's fantastic. But I want to kind of get back to this AI thing and ask Lori, really, has AI helped us dealing with hiring managers, or has it hindered us even more because they can go make up job descriptions in Claude and
Yeah.
have answers in Claude they think are real? What do you think, Lori?
Well, I don't know that it's actually helped or hurt that much either. I do agree that it does make the job descriptions quite, much more convoluted and ambiguous, and a whole lot of, corporate lingo that nobody really. I saw one the other day that I read through the entire job description. It may have been one of your posts. I did not understand at all what they were saying. Like I didn't, and I've been reading job descriptions for literally almost 20 years. And
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't, if I can't understand this, how
right.
is anybody going to understand this? And again, when you have an off job description, you're just inviting more volume and more work that isn't there's no ROI at all on that work. So, yeah, I also think AI is making it a little challenging in that AI is becoming the new scapegoat. So, like, again,
Yes.
when we try and point back to like, okay, but hiring managers need to get really clear on what they're looking for, and not only clear on what they're looking for, like all the requirements they want, but also like what trade-offs are they willing to make? Like they have to
Right.
actually critically think through hiring and not act like it's a reactive extra thing they have to do. It is the most important thing any hiring manager has to do, because again, this team is going to be the producers. This team is doing work that you are, the owner of. And so it's like not an afterthought, but when hiring managers treat it as such, you know, that's unfortunate. And then now they are like blaming AI,
Yeah.
right? So they used to blame recruiters and now they're blaming AI. And then also job seekers
Yes.
used to blame recruiters. We
Now
said,
they're
but
blaming
also hiring
AI.
managers,
Yeah.
and now it's AI. And I'm like, how do they get off every time? And we're always the
I
scapegoat, but
know.
now
They
it's
just never
AI.
get roped in. It's
It's
just
nuts.
crazy, right?
But also, I think the real bottom line is AI isn't causing all the problems that we see, it's
Yeah.
exposing it.
Yeah, I agree. I've said it so many times. If you are a really bad recruiter in this moment, you will get exposed by being really bad.
That's
recruiter,
right.
right?
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm interested to hear because, I think AI has definitely proven its worth for recruiters who have these massive amounts of resumes, 2,000 we just heard in 24 hours coming in and helping us get to that short list because I just don't know how you do it just with the amount of time somebody has in a day. But from a hiring manager perspective, how is RoundOne looking at making it so that a hiring manager can't ignore that short list? Like what's built into RoundOne right now that will make hiring managers take pause and actually listen?
Sure. So we've kind of reverse engineered this particular section where if the hiring managers, so a hiring manager's intake meetings outcomes should be a job description, a very well defined job description. And as Laurie mentioned, a lot of us use AI, Claude or Chat GPT to do that, which gets more confusing. Back in the days, you didn't even have AI. So what you would do is you go to job site and then find a similar job and then pick up from there. So like you would keep, all the mistakes and all the bad stuff from all the job descriptions keep going forward. With RoundOne, because we have to screen candidates on the job description, a hiring manager or a recruiter, whoever is operating it, they have to agree to the screening requirement. So you first had requirements, you converted into a job description. Now you put this job description into RoundOne. RoundOne then extracts those requirements and shows it to you that, hey, these are the requirements we pulled from your job description. Do they look right or wrong? Or do you want to add something new? And I've seen a few instances where a hiring manager would think that, hey, you know what, I think I should add this thing here. Why didn't it show? But hey, because you don't have it in your job description, right? So kind of a mirror on the other side. But because they have to agree to these explicit requirement pointers, it helps them really understand that what they're hiring for is reflected in this job description and the screening outline or not. And I think AI can be really helpful in such cases.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I want sign off when I do an intake. Like I want us both to sign off on those requirements because I don't want you to come back later and tell me that I got it wrong. I want like some sign off that says this is right. I have learned over time as a recruiter to like get it in writing. Like this is what we agreed to. This is what I'm looking for and all of those things. So I think anything that helps me get to that finish line is really important. I have this comment in the chat and I have to read it. And I'm going to go to Lori for this one. While I understand your point to say the hiring manager, maybe we just need a better recruiter. I mean, someone who guides us when we are wrong and pulls us back in the right direction. I've seen many recruiters taking their job too lightly and carrying the attitude of these are the candidates. Interview and just tell me which one you want. That is depressing. And I'm sorry that you have that recruiter or had that recruiter in the past. This is what I'm talking about for AI weeding out those recruiters. There will be that's what it does. It's going to weed out those that take their job too lightly and don't become the strategic partner. Do you agree, Lori?
100%. I mean, that has been the number one key to my success in doing this for so long on both sides, agency first and then corporate in-house, but always willing to push back or not even just push back. I think it's not like a heavy conflict situation. It's a poking holes. It's a challenging their thinking, right? Like it's even just calibrating and understanding. So like, why do you think this requirement, like what is the intent of this particular requirement? What do you think this achieves versus, what do you think 5 years experience achieves versus 3?
Right.
Whatever. Because I mean, most of those things are sort of arbitrary. And so and they don't even realize that until you start asking questions. So again, I do think it's very much a partnership. Again, we both have a common goal to get the best possible hire into this role. It benefits you and it benefits me. We both are winners when we hire the right person in the role. If that's the case, why such a contentious back and forth scenario instead of,
it's crazy
again,
to me.
I'm helping you. It's the help me help you,
Right.
kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm here to help you. You're here to help me. We're not going to have it 100% in the beginning, but as we go, for me around, when I'm looking at the analytics or I'm trying to see, are we doing well? It's an improvement. We're getting
Right.
better. We're converting
Absolutely.
more people down the funnel the farther we get into the search. If that's not happening, there are things wrong. I will tell you the number one way I know that this is true and that a lot of recruiters are taking their jobs too lightly is they don't even know what data to look at to understand if they're doing well.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
Time to fill or time to hire seems to be like the only thing
the only
that
one
anybody
people talk
points
about.
And it's the least telling metric of all metrics.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. It is.
I think recruiters can ask a lot of good questions.
He was like, time to fill is the most made up crap.
Yeah. I've worked with some amazing recruiters.
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna just mention one of my experiences. So yeah, I've worked with a recruiter where I would give a job description and that's the final thing that they get. And then I have another recruiter who would poke so many questions at me, like literally to the point where I get annoyed, but also kind of forces me to think about really critically with that really, do I need this in this role or not? And one such question, like very basic questions, he asked that, okay, are you replacing someone or are you hiring a new role?
Right.
And as a hiring manager, I don't understand why is this important for you. Why are you asking me this question, right? Because I'm not trained to be in the recruitment world.
Right.
I'm just a senior, or I happen to be spending 10, 15 years in one area and I become senior. Now I'm supposed to hire people. I'm not trained for this. But then they ask different questions that, okay, if I'm replacing someone, there are different set of questions. If I'm hiring a new person, maybe I don't even know what I need to hire for, right? So rightly, as Laurie said, recruiters have a lot of role to play here, and it can change things here.
Mayur, I think biggest problem we see in talking about AI being in the recruiting process is that judgment piece. Like, who's making the call? Is AI making the call? And I think a lot of people get that confused about certain products. Yes, there are products out there that still are making decisions, which I think is horrendous. And it's just not the way it should be. But I know RoundOne doesn't make the judgment. How do you keep it from making the judgment?
Yeah, so we don't ask AI to give us the judgment. It's as simple as that. We ask AI to find the evidence, right? So you got the conversation that AI has with a candidate, and then you take this conversation, ask another AI that, hey, find me an evidence in this conversation whether this candidate has 5 years of experience or not, or whether this candidate knows XYZ or not, right? So you try and find those evidence which were the part of the requirement, and then use some sort of arithmetic behind it that, now that you have an evidence, based on that evidence, you provide this evidence and a shortlist to the hiring manager. Let them make a decision based on this evidence, rather than just looking at the CV. What we've recently introduced is we used to just do voice screening, right? We added the CV stage now because we realized that there are some requirements which can easily be screened just on the CV.
Yeah.
But then there are some requirements which you can never screen on a CV. You must have a voice conversation, but it's still screening. You're not interviewing them, right? So we now have this 2-stage in RoundOne, where the first stage is CV screen, and hiring manager decide what gets screened on a CV and what gets asked as a question on a voice conversation. So we try to find all the evidence, present it to the hiring manager or the recruiter who is working on the other side, so that they can take the decision to go forward.
Right. I think this all goes back, this whole conversation goes back to evidence, data, alignment, and communication, all of those things, right? We've talked about them numerous times. We've kind of hammered it home that to have a good hiring manager recruiter relationship, that is going to be the key. We could talk about this all day. I literally could talk about this for a year. I have so many more things to say, and I'm sure Lori does too. But we need to end it. We need to wrap up. Lori, where can people find you? Do all the things.
Everywhere. Well, for one, I'm most visible on LinkedIn in people's comment sections, trying to clarify information. And no, really, it's like actually where I add the most value is like, I do take the time to explain things. I still get dragged and, but whatever. I'm still always going to be out there sharing the truth. And I also want to say everything I explain doesn't mean I'm advocating for it. I'm explaining it so that job seekers can navigate this really tough landscape and market. But you can find me at the Rebel HR on LinkedIn. I also have a school community for the Rebel HR. It's free to join. The purpose is to connect veteran recruiters and career coaches and resume writers with frustrated job seekers. So there's there. And just, I'm out there a lot. I'm very visible. Feel free to pop into my DMs. I am someone whose brain you can pick. I came up during a time when knowledge was shared freely. So I do share my knowledge when I can. So come find me.
Thank you. And for those that want to connect with me, I'm Desiree Goldey. You can visit me. I'm also a LinkedIn person. I spend way too much time there. So you can, I also answer my DMs. Or you can check out my company at dobetterconsulting.net. And I'm advisor to RoundOne. So if you do have questions about RoundOne or want to start a free trial or anything like that, please don't hesitate to DM me as well. I am glad to put you in touch with the right people or even show you a demo. Mayur, I'm going to leave you with the last bit. Tell me all things RoundOne AI, where people can find it, sign up for the free trial, all that stuff.
Yeah, RoundOne AI. RoundOne AI is go there, guys. If you're a recruiter, if you're hiring for a role and you think that all the CVs look excellent and you think a lot of candidates are using AI, then here is an AI for you. Go ahead and use it. It has a quite generous free trial for 14 days, and I'll be happy to work with anyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who joined us today. I didn't get to all the comments, but I saw some really great ones. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time on Higher Ground by RoundOne AI. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.